Very good evening, everyone, and a very warm welcome to all the speakers, the viewers. Before we begin, I am really happy to have such an important topic to be discussed today because it is such a huge impact on society when a person is bitten. It does not just have physical implications, it has mental implications, it has emotional implications. It's all about self-esteem when an adult is being bitten by another person. That is a huge self-esteem issue. And when it comes to women especially, because the mental health of a women is actually passed on to the mental health of the children, because most of the times in all the societies, children are with their mother. So whatever mother is going through, whether it is trauma, whether it is joy or whatever, that is actually passed on to the next generation. Pertinent issue which is unaddressed in the society. We can imagine that, it is the problem not of the current generation, but it is the problem of the generations to come, because it gets passed on until the chain breaks. So this is such an important topic, and we have a diverse panel because this topic is not about just physical abuse. It's about mental implication. It has legal provisions. So we have a panel which is of advocate, which is of psychologist, which is of educationist, which is of activist. So I think all the views will help a lot to address this issue, and we hopefully see the end of this problem, which we are still living in this modern age. So I call upon our first speaker of the day, Dr. Kalpana Satija, to throw the light on the topic. So over to you, Dr. Satija.
Good evening, all. Today's our debate topic is domestic violence. Domestic violence can be broadly defined as a pattern of abusing behavior by one or both partners is in an intimate relationship, such as a marriage, dating, family, friends, or cohabitations. We always, reading in newspaper about domestic violence. We are watching in movie about, domestic violence. But when we talk about the women empowerment, where are empowerment? Since we are in 16th century, not in 21st century, because we always find everywhere gender inequalities, gender gap, and gender violence too. So it is the establishment, of control and fear in relationship through violence and other forms of abuse. The violence may involve sometimes physical abuse, sexual assault, or threats too. Abuser, always torture and controls on the victims by calculated threats, intimidations, and sometimes physical violence too. In most of cases, we always found women are most victims. And who are at home, sometimes they are
Dr. Kalpana Satija, there is a connectivity problem at your end. If you can hear me, if you could just check it, because your voice is not audible and your picture is freeze. So if you can hear me. Dr. Satija, you're not audible and screen is freezed. So if you can hear me, just drop a message. There seems to be a network problem at your end. Okay, so we just move on to our next speaker, who is a legal expert, because as I said, this topic has multiple aspects. We cannot just deal with it from one angle, because it has major implications, and it has to be supported by all means. There is moral education, there has to be legal action, there also has to be psychological counseling. So all these aspects are needed. This burning issue in the society. So for this, I call upon our next speaker, who is an advocate, Dr. Damija.
So over to you, Dr. I'm sorry, it was disconnected, ma'am.
Yeah. All right. So you can just continue from where you stopped.
Okay.
We could not hear your last words, so you can just go back 2 lines back and then you can continue.
Yeah. So, we are seeing different type of abuse related to women's, but we never seen any type of abuse for the men. So why women are suffering a lot? Why women are tolerating a lot? When we are talking about, the human development, it is said always there where the literacy rate is high, always, the crime should be decreasing level. But here in our society, we always seen that wherever the literacy rate is high, always crime rate is also high. So what are reason behind this? Where the mentality are going on, why we are not respecting the women, why we are not giving a feelings, we are showing a feelings, a positive feelings to the women's, positive emotions to the women's. What are reason behind this? After all, we all are human beings. Why this violence are occurring in our society? This is the first question. And that different type of domestic violence we are seeing in our society. Sometimes throwing objects on the women, backside, front side. That is also it's one type of the violence. Women are working 24 hours non-stop without any expectations and remunerations. So, definitely women also need some, physical and mental health improvement. They need, a special caring from the family. They need a special status from the family. So whenever the women are being sick or, being ill, sometimes the families male, they are refusing medical help to the women also. So this is also a one type of violence where the males are not giving medical help to the family women. The third violence is that denying basic needs like eating and sleeping. In our society, I don't know what are reason behind this. Till today, in some families, I'm watching that the male persons will be eating first in the family, and whatsoever it is lying in the old vessels, the women will eat. So I don't know why this system has still it is being encouraged, and why women are not more conscious about their health and eating and nutritious side. So this is also one type of violence, when the male are, dominating about his habits about eating and sleeping and not giving a properly eating and sleeping to the women also. So this is also one type of violence. The other violence is that the forceful use of substance like drugs and alcohols. This is the big issues nowadays in a current era, in a new modern era. We are seeing such women, they are using these drugs and alcohols, but in some angle, the drugs and alcohols are being given by the male forcefully to the women. Might be the women are not taking, but it is given, by the male forcefully. That is also a one type of violence towards the women. Emotional abuse is also we seen in our society. Very dirty words for the women's voice or actions also sometimes it's occur, and definitely it's effect on the emotions and mindset, mental well-being of the victim also for the women. In our society, in any countries, we always seen well-being index, human development index, happiness index, but I think we should measure tolerating index too for the women, because women is the most tolerated creature or person on this earth, where she is tolerating a lot, but she is not sharing their words, their feelings, their emotions towards the their family members. Even she is not sharing with their kids also. So whether women are from any area, whether she comes from the rural area or she is from urban area, whether she is literate or whether she is not literate, but somehow, somewhere, still she is behind, of the male. So we found a very big gender gap, and we found a big women having playing a very pivotal role in the society. And still today we are, talking about the gender inequalities, women empowerment, domestic violence. That means still women are in the same situations. So where we are going, where our societies are going. So, that while talking about this domestic violence, sometimes verbal threats also there. I will kill you. I will kill your, kids. I will kick out from the family. So many type of verbal threats are being given by the male to the women. Sometimes, name calling, sometimes abusing to her parents also, abusive language also we found in our society. And sometimes we are seeing humiliating or, embarrassing the partner in front of others. Because, male, they sometimes they want to show off their status, and they are insulting, that families, women's in front of might be gays or in front of others. So that is also a part of violence. When talking about this emotional abuse, isolating victims from family and friends, keeping an excessive check on the victims to know their whereabouts, and blaming the victims for the abuse, following the stalking the victims, and the financial abuse is one of the very critical sector nowadays, because when these women started to be a literate, they are must doing a job in a society. So, since 10 years we are watching in our society, male are not performing better in economic way. Most of families, since 5 or 10 years, we are watching that women's are earning. Women's are a butter earner only in one of the family, and male is doing nothing. He should sit at the house. He never go for the job. He never do any business. Apart of that, not doing anything, not being earning butter. He started a violence on the woman when she comes from the job. So, financial abuse is also a use of misuse of power and control over finances without the partner consent. Common examples of financial abuse, like forbidding the victim to work, demanding the victims give their account of money, demanding their account number without knowing, or without, intimating her the whole amount should be take out from the account. So the many type of violence occurring with the finance also, forcing the victims to pay all the expenses because the male is not doing anything. All the earning butter is women, so woman has to expense everything. She is maintaining all the house expenses. So controlling bank accounts and common property. In our society, always properties are named on a male. But I think so. In Kerala is one of the state where the properties is a name of the women. So this is also one of the issues, and since 10 years, I'm watching one more issue about the that LIC's policy or any insurance policy, where the might be women having any type of insurance policy, and male come to know it might be a big premium of this policy, and suddenly death occurs of the woman, and the whole amount that male is going to be taken. So after all, whole this scenario, it shows that women works into the society with emotions and feelings, while male walks into the society with only different mindset. So women have to must be strong in her own way. uh, and effect of this domestic violence, it's a very huge on our society. It shows a very low self-esteem, because whether women are literate or illiterate, when they are being a victim of this domestic violence, somewhere they feel a very shame on herself, and sometimes she's committing suicide also without any reason, due to only that domestic violence. Sometimes women felt into that depressions, and it go in a in a different stage of the depressions and committing suicide too. Sleep disruptions and inability to trust, not keeping trust on anyone due to this domestic violence, and not getting self-respect and respect and safety from the male members of from the home. That physical abuse, at nature of cause, bodily pain, harm, danger of life, and health, or impair the health development of the aggrieved person, and includes
Dr. Kalpana Satija. Dr. Kalpana Satija. Can you hear me? Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
It was really wonderful hearing you, and but because we missed on the time, we
Okay.
have four speakers, 15
Yeah,
minutes each. Due
yeah,
to a
okay.
connectivity problem, we missed those precious
Yes,
words, and we will be catching up later on with you for sure. And I really am very thankful that you continued with the same enthusiasm despite losing the connectivity in between. And the words that you said were wonderful because these are very minute things that matters. Women eating first and sleeping first and getting up later is very such a small thing which is neglected. But this is where the revolution starts. If a family gets a woman eat first because she's the one who cooks first. She's the one who cooks but does not eat first. So if we start with that small act, it is going to be a huge revolutionary step in the society. So wonderful, wonderful. Thank you so much for those insights. And quickly, our next speaker, Dr.
thank you.
Nupur Damija. Over to you quickly. And each speaker, please keep in mind your time is 15 minutes. You can finish in 10 minutes, that's okay, but not more than 15 minutes, please. So over to our next speaker.
Thank you so much, Dr. Dipti Joshi ji, and my sincere and heartful gratitude for Dr. Raja Rao sir and Carolyn ma'am for inviting me here. We are talking about domestic violence. So, availability of data on violence against women and girls has increased significantly in recent years. Domestic violence, social and legal concept that in the broadcast sense refers to any abuse, including physical, emotional, sexual, or financial, between intimate partners, often living in the same household. The term is often used specifically to designate physical assault upon women by their male partners. But though rarer, the victim may be male abused by his female partner. And the term may also be used regarding abuse of both women and men by same-sex partners. Estimated annual figures for the number of women in the United States who are subjected to abuse by a male partner range from 2 or 4 millions. Additional statistics indicate that domestic violence ranks as the leading cause of injury to women from age 15 to 44, and that one-third of the American women murdered in any given year are killed by current or former boyfriends or husbands. Males may also be victims of domestic violence, although instances are both less common and less severe. However, such occurrences are also less likely to be reported because of the fear of ridicule and the lack of support services made available to maid abuse victims. Globally and estimated, 736 million women, almost 1 in 3, have been subjected to intimate partner violence, non-partner sexual violence, or both at least once in their life. 30% of women aged 15 and older. This figure does not include sexual harassment, the rates of depression, anxiety disorders, unplanned pregnancies, sexually transmitted infections, and HIV are higher in women who have experienced violence compared to women who have not, as well as many other health problems that can last even after the violence has ended. Most violence against women is perpetrated by current or former husband or intimate partners. Of those who have been in a relationship, almost 1 in 4 adolescent girls aged 15 to 19, 24% have experienced physical and sexual violence from an intimate partner or husband. 16% of young women aged 15 to 24 experienced this violence in the past 12 months. In
2018, an estimated 1 in 7 women had experienced physical sexual violence from an intimate partner or husband in the past 12 months. 13% of women aged 15 to 49. These numbers do not reflect the impact of the COVID-19 pandemic, which has increased risk factors for violence against women. Calls to helplines have increased 5-fold in some countries as rates of reported intimate partner violence increased because of the COVID-19 pandemic, restricted movement, social isolation, and economic insecurity are increasing women's vulnerability to violence in the home around the world. By September 2020, 52 countries had integrated prevention and response to violence against women and girls into COVID-19 response plans. And countries had adopted measures to strengthen services for women survivors of violence during the global crisis. But more efforts are urgently needed. Globally, 6% of women report they have been subjected to sexual violence from someone other than their husband or partner. However, the true prevalence of non-partner sexual violence is likely to be much higher, considering the particular stigma related to this form of violence. On 137 women are killed by a member of their family every day. It is estimated that of 87,000 women who were intentionally killed in 2017 globally, more than half, 50,000, were killed by the intimate partners or family members. More than 1/3, 30,000 of the women intentionally killed in 2017 were killed by the current or former intimate partner. More than 40% of women who experience violence seek help of any sort. In the majority of countries with the available data on the issue among women who do seek help, most look to family and friends, and very few look to formal institutions such as police and health services. Fewer than 10% of those seeking help appeal to the police. Globally, violence against women disproportionately affects low and lower middle income countries and regions. 37% of women aged 15 to 49 living in the countries classified by the Sustainable Development Goals as least developed have been subject to physical or sexual intimate partner violence in their life. 22% of women living in the least developed countries have been subjected to intimate partner violence in the past 12 months. Adult women account for nearly half of all human trafficking victims and detected globally. In 2019, 1/5 women aged 20 to 24 years were married before the age of 18. During the past decade, the global rate of child marriage has declined, with South Asia having the largest decline during this time. Today, the risk of child marriage is highest in sub-Saharan Africa, where more than 1 in 3 women aged 20 to 24 years were married before the age of 18. Child marriage often result in early pregnancy and social isolation, interrupt schooling, and increase a girl's risk of experiencing domestic violence. At least 200 million women and girls aged 50 to years have undergone female genital mutilation in 31 countries where the practice is concentrated. Half of these countries are in West Africa. These are still countries where female genital mutilation is almost universal, where at least 9 in 10 girls and women aged 15, 49 years have been cut. School-related gender-based violence is a major obstacle to universal schooling and the right to education for girls. In the Middle East and North Africa, 40 to 60% of women have experienced street-based sexual harassment. In the multi-country study, women said the harassment was mainly sexual comments, stalking or following, or stirring or ogling. Between 31 and 64% of men said they had careered out of such acts. Younger men with more education and men who experienced violence as children were more likely to engage in street sexual harassment. Across 5 regions, 82% of women parliamentarians reported having experienced some form of physiological violence while serving their terms. These included remarks, gesture, and images of sexist or humiliating sexual nature, treats, and mobbing. Women cited social media as the main channel of this type of violence, and nearly half, 40%, reported receiving death, rape, assault, or abduction threats. Toward them or their families, 65% had been subjected to sexual remarks primarily by male colleagues in parliament.
Right. So this was wonderful, Dr. Nupur, and this data is so alarming that such a huge, terrible crime is normalized, because until it is normalized, the data cannot be so huge. I mean, when you talk about the crime being more than 50 to 60%, how can it exceed 10% when it's not considered a crime actually? It is normalized. So this is a fundamental problem, and where in the age of science and technology, where we are talking about moving to Mars and Moon, we do not know how to behave with a fellow human being. So this is so disturbing. And when there's an imbalance somewhere, imbalance of the whole world, so this is a global issue and that needs to be addressed. We look forward to the solution from our next speaker. As I know her as an educationist, I expect that she would throw light on how the life should move ahead. How can we move forward with this issue? Some sort of solution to the problem. So I welcome on board Dr. Seema Negi to give her insights on what could be the solution to the problem.
So good evening, everyone. And it was really alarming to listen to the previous speakers. And they actually presented the data which we heard about. But somewhere down the line, we also need to understand that there time when we have to decide, we have to move ahead. The beauty of this entire panel is when I heard about the theme was like from domestic violence, living the life to fullest. So it is the time when we have to say, okay, now it is done and we have to move ahead. So what I'm going to present as an educator is how do we move ahead? And I completely agree with the panelists who have spoken before me that these numbers at times put us, whether it's female or it's male or any sector of to reflect on what we are doing. Are we really moving ahead in the right direction? We talk about sustainable development goals. We talk about Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam, entire world is a family. But are we really taking care of our own family? Then we should speak about the world. So, so the advocate, ma'am, what you spoke was something which was still giving me goosebumps, because those are the figures that we know that is happening. So what I'll present an educationist view, because I believe that you need to move ahead come what may. So here it is. So we don't have to cry because it happened with me, but we have to move ahead. Moving ahead might seems very, very difficult, but that is how the life goes ahead. It's okay not to be okay. It's okay if you do not know everything. It happens, you learn, you grow, you stumble, you fall. That is how we grow. That is how we come out of this negativity of emotions. Because of the violence, because of the depression, we just go into the echo chamber of negativity. So it's okay when you feel that you are not okay, but then you need to find out the solution. How do I move ahead? Whichever sector of the society it is, talking about a particular gender, whichever sector, we need to learn to move ahead. And how do we move ahead? Now when we were listening to all the data, this is made sitting there. I think every human has a story. You go and meet every person who has suffered. Every human has a story, and every story is unique. Some stories are full of the kind of oppression, depression they have gone through. But some stories which are so affirmative, so positive, that you can break those chains of negativity and move ahead. So what we need to do is we need to make our life a story which is a positive story, an affirmative story, wherein we lived our life fully, we loved it, and we cherished each and every moment. Though again, saying it is easy, but the one who suffers is very difficult. So why I am presenting this view is somewhere down the line, we know people who are suffering. It is our responsibility, a moral responsibility. And that is why I feel, Dr. Raja, you are doing such a wonderful job that you are making people analyze that, okay, these are the negative aspects, but we still have to look for the positive aspect. And each one of us need to understand that we need to stand by the people who are suffering so that we can provide the solution. At the end of the day, we need to be solution provider. So here it comes. We need to have vision. When we have decided that, no, we are not going to tolerate this, because even if you go to Google and look for the stories, every story starts with, and I decided, and I thought I have, and I could not take it anymore. This is how people then decided they have to move ahead. So for moving ahead, you need to have a vision, because nothing happens unless you first dream about it. You dream that you want to come out of the situation. You have to visualize that you are coming out of the situation, and then you make your vision to come out of that. Then you need to have a strategy, because you cannot say, if you are trapped in that entire negativity, you just cannot run away. You need to have a proper strategy. And that is why we have so many counselors, we have life coaches. They provide strategies to the people so that they can effectively plan their goal. They can effectively design their change mechanism, because they need to move ahead. And whenever we talk about moving ahead, I think the best example I always quote is like a river. The river always flows, maintain its course, whatever comes in the direction, whether it's a big stone or a pebble or anything, the river keeps on moving, adjusting the flow and keeps on. That is the kind of support that we need to provide to the victims, so that they can then get one more chance and they can live their life to the fullest. Next, we need to have innovation. We need to have these innovative ideas, because we are looking for solution. If there is a better solution, find out. Why are you still trapped there? Find out for a solution. Sometimes we become so depressed, or we are into that entire thought process or change of negativity, that we do not look for solution. Every situation has a solution if we look for it. Sometimes the solution is intrinsic. Sometimes we need to find a outside mechanism to find the solution. That is why we have diverse professions from the different field. We have social workers, we have advocates, we have counselors. They provide this solution. Also, we need to believe in teamwork. Today, we are sitting here again from diverse field, because we feel that together we have to provide solution. It cannot be alone. Alone, we might be just a small drop in the ocean, but together, when we come under one forum, we are under one forum, we become a major team, and this team can provide the solution to the society. Everybody has to play their part. A teacher has to play, a counselor has to play, a advocate has to play, a doctor has to play. Each one of us will work in team. Trust me, we will achieve the uncommon result which are needed, so that this entire society, who is going under so negativity. We have heard about so many cases of violence under different heads, whether it's physical violence, social violence, psychological violence, sexual violence. But we have to ensure that we are taking that oppressed part of the society and letting them move ahead. For this, it is very important, the little push. That is the momentum. Each one of us face that thing, and that little push is needed. That is the moment. You say that enlightenment moment came to your life, and you thought, yes, now I'm going to make a difference. Ensure that we are providing that kind of momentum to the victims who come to us, who speak to us, or when we become, say, a coach to them, a mentor to them. This momentum is very, very important. It comes to everybody's life. Opportunity. Every time there is an opportunity, when one door open, so we need to seize the opportunity. And this is the kind of, I think, optimism we have to provide to the people whom we come across, that they need to seize the opportunity. We understand that they have gone through something which cannot be written off. It cannot be written off, but life, and the life needs to be lived in fullest. That is important, because we get this human life after a lot of, if we talk about Hindu yonis, we say we go through so many yonis, and we get this human life. So ensure that every human has the right to live peacefully. Every human has the right to happiness. Possibilities, there are many possibilities. Sometimes we just trap ourselves and we feel, no, life has come to an end. We have just heard that so many other people who are going through these kind of situation, they feel like committing suicide because they feel all the doors are closed and there is no possibility to do anything. There is always a possibility. We are not supposed to limit the possibilities. Okay, we have to imagine, we have to visualize for a better life. And we have to do that. Then we will see how the doors of possibilities are getting open for everyone. Most of the time, when we are at the last step of the ladder, we feel that no, now we are not able to grow, because we are suppressed by other gender, we are suppressed by society, we are suppressed by a financial thing, we are suppressed by so. Not forget, growth is always there, the ladder is there, so that you can keep on climbing. Leave those cliches behind, leave those negativity behind, and think in your mind that it's me who has to drive the change. So all the people who go through so much, which is like, again, sometimes females, they keep on crying, sometimes they will keep on talking about what they're going through. But more than that, what is important is start growing inside, spiritually, financially, physically, so that you can move to the top. You have to move. You have to manage your time very well. That is very important. You have to value your own self. Sometimes we have seen women at home 24/7, they are working. Why you are not managing time for your own self? That is also a kind of violence. If you are not giving to your time to yourself, that is also a kind of violence. So we have to come out of that. We have to be very, very, very focused. We have to be focused. If you want to break the chain of negativity, chain of violence, we need to be focused. We need to be very clear what is our goal, and what the moment I will leave out of the situation, come out of this situation, what is the next thing I have to do? So your attitude matters a lot. Your attitude matters a lot. So always keep this in mind, that decides the altitude. So go ahead, because the more precisely we plan, usually, the people who go, they never plan for violence, right? So more precisely we plan, the harder destiny hit us. So replan everything that you have in your life. And believe me, the greatest events are not that which happen in the most loudest way. They happen in the most quietest hours. So there will be those moments during the most quietest hour. Understand those moments and then move ahead, because that is what life teaches us. So everybody sees you the way you are seen, the physical way you are seen, but there are only few people who really know who you are. Okay, trust on those people, because they will help you move ahead. And suppose you are the person who wants to do something, each at some different place, then you are the person who has to do something which you have never done. If it was easily done, you could have done it. So If it is challenging, then you have to get it done and move ahead. So I will end with this. Life is a drawing without an eraser. So you don't have, but you have to write it again. So when you write, plan for tomorrow and live today. Plan for tomorrow, live today. Every day you have same time you have to plan for tomorrow. So I wish everyone, every sector of this society, everyone who has gone through the immense pain, the immense depression, everything, I wish each one of us have air to breathe, fire to warm us up, water to drink, and the earth to live. And this is responsibility that we spread this happiness, we spread this positivity, and we help the people, help those people who are suffering to come out of this violence and let them live their life to the fullest. Thank you so much.
Right. Thank you so much for the wonderful presentation. And yes, it has to be a teamwork because this is not a women's problem. This is equally a men's problem. It's a societal issue at large. It can't be resolved just by women speaking up. But and that's what my question is to our next speaker, because you know what it takes for a man to commit that crime on a regular basis. You know, we can't even understand someone doing it once, but say even if someone does it once, you know, the person does not realize it later on that it was my mistake. So my question is like how it is committed so regularly. What makes a man do this? What makes a woman accept it? Because no one can do something wrong to you until and unless you allow them to. So what is the psychology behind a woman to tolerate all these things? And the worst thing is, what is this psychology of society at large, which is just watching it happen, you know, because the violence takes place very loudly. We all have seen it, but no one really goes next door and asks what exactly the problem is. A problem, you know, it's their family issue. No, it's not the family issue. It's the issue of the society, and it has to be resolved. So what is that stigma, or what is that one thing where, you know, the society has been so spectacle that they don't move forward, and the problem does not get resolved, it gets increased, you know, every time, because we are advancing in terms of everything else, but we are not advancing in human values. So, you know, this is something where I fail to understand what is the psychology behind it. So I call upon our next speaker to throw some light on it, that why this happens. If we have to stop it, what changes in the pattern of thinking, or what psychological changes needs to be done. So our next speaker is Dr. Iba Jauda. I welcome you on board for your insights on the subject, please.
Yes. I'm audible?
Yes, you're audible. Yes.
Good morning. Namaste, brothers and sisters. I'm Pratibha Jauda. I'm psychologist and social activist from Rajasthan, India. First of all, I would like to thank Master Prince, who has invited me to present my thoughts on this international forum as a speaker. The sentence, only a slap but cannot kill, is not just a dialogue of a film, but also exposes the bleak reality of different societies. Domestic violence is present in the almost every society in the world. The different types of activities pursued by the attackers against the victim include physical abuse, emotional abuse, psychological abuse, economic abuse, taunting, etc. Domestic violence is not only a problem of developing or undeveloped countries, but it is also very prevalent in developed countries. Domestic violence is a reflection of our pseudo-civilized society. Violence has no place in a civilized society, but the number of domestic violence cases reported each year underscore a worrying situations. Often we have seen people being tortured behind closed doors of houses. This work is also being done in rural areas, towns, cities, and metros. What is the domestic violence? Domestic violence means any act which threatens the health, safety, life of a woman and child. Boys, the girls below 18 years age, economic damage and such force which is unbearable and which causes pain and dishonor to women and children. Everyone is included in the scope of domestic violence. There are different forms of domestic violence, such as domestic violence against women, causing physical and mental pain to a woman. Domestic violence against men, there is no more questions mark on the fact that domestic violence against women is a serious and big problem. But the dominance of men in society assures that they are not vulnerable to domestic violence. Domestic violence against children. In our society, children and adolescents also have to face domestic violence. In fact, this form of violence is second only to violence against women in the number of reported cases. There is a great variations in its form between urban and rural areas, between upper classes and lower classes family in India. In urban areas, it is more private and hidden within the four walls and houses. Domestic violence against elderly. This form of domestic violence refers to violence that is happening with the elders of the house. We will discuss on reasons of domestic violence. The main reason for domestic violence against women is the stupid mentality that the women are physically and emotionally weaker than men. Dissatisfaction with dowry received, arguing with partner, refusing to have sex with him, neglecting children, indulging in extramarital affair, not taking care of the in-laws, in some cases, sterility among women also cases, attacks on them by family members. Now, reasons for domestic violence against men include non-compliance with the instructions of wives, inadequate earning of men, extramarital affairs, not helping wife in domestic activities, not taking proper care of children. One of the main reasons of the domestic violence against older people is children's hesitations to bear the expenses of aging parents. One of the very common reasons includes torture for the grabbing property. Now we discuss effects of domestic violence. If a person has faced domestic violence in his life, then it is very difficult for him or her to come out of this fear. After being a victim of domestic violence, continuously negativity dominates in the thinking of the person. It takes many years for the person to return to the mainstream of a stable lifestyle. The worst aspect of domestic violence is that the victim is unable to come back from the trauma. In such cases, it is often seen that people either lose their mental balance or become a victim of depression. This is the most dangerous and sad situations of domestic violence. That when people whom we trust so much and live with, when they give us such suffering, then the person loses faith in the relationship and he becomes alone. Sometimes people even commit suicide in these situations. The most widespread impact of domestic violence is on children. CT scan shows that children who have lived their life in domestic violence have shrinkage in the callosum, and hippocampus, affecting their learning, cognitive abilities, and emotional regulations. Children learn angry and aggressive behavior from such an environment. The effect of this can be seen by such children doing violence to other vulnerable children and animals. The mental and physical development of children also get stunted. Girls learn negativity behaviors and often become submissive, quiet, or run away from situations. The quality of life of every individual is adversely affected as women who have been victims of violence participate less in various activities of social life. Due to domestic violence, the mental level of the victim starts falling and he loses his confidence completely. Solutions measures now discussed. According to researcher, it is important to note that not all victims of domestic violence are aggressive. We can come out of the mental disorder of domestic violence by providing them the better environment. violence against women and children. As a first step in bringing about reform, it will be necessary to make men a part of the solution rather than holding men against women. It will be imperative to promote the spirit of bravery in a healthy way and get rid of the old stereotype in order to protect women and children from domestic violence. The government will do nothing just by passing a bill to get rid of domestic violence. It is a necessary to implement too strictly. If you are a woman and someone in your relatives misbehave towards you, then you are victim under this act. Policymakers need to develop mechanisms to provide the benefits of professional mental health services to families recoveries from domestic violence, facilitate and assures access to medical, legal, and psychological service to help women. To spread awareness about violence against women, Vogue India ran a campaign, Boy Don't Cry, while global human rights organization Breakthrough ran a bell ring campaign against the domestic violence. Both these are campaigns were great efforts made at the personal level to deal the domestic violence against women. And the most important thing is that from childhood, children should be educated to be aware their rights. Children should be given mental strength. Never let their confidence fall. Children should be given freedom of thoughts from childhood without being intimidated. Make the home environment healthy and mentally strong. If we truly want to create a world free from violence against women, the time has come for us to discuss the matter collectively. A good approach may be to conduct sustained and prosperous social campaign at the international level. Thank you so much for giving me a great opportunity. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much to finishing on time and with so many precise remarks that why the issue is there and what is the way forward. So absolutely, the fundamental change is needed, the way we think, the way we look at this issue, and involvement of everyone, men, women, society at large. We need to participate, spread awareness, discuss more about it, because when the domestic violence take place, but we hardly speak about it. So the issue still persists, and we know that when it is not addressed, it is increasing. Yes. So thank you so much for those insights. And I call upon Dr. Caroline ma'am to give a vote of thanks to all our speakers. Wonderful today. And also give your concluding remarks.
Okay, thank you very much, Deepti. It's nice to see you here. Good evening, all the eminent speakers, guest of honors, and this eminent guests who are on this platform. So it is really amazing topic, domestic violence, and the end, the concluding statement is need to live fullest. So we have to support people who are the sufferers to lead their life in a happiest and fullest way. Yes, here the domestic violence, just now all the eminent speakers have given good insights and inputs and good suggestions, really appreciable. If you see what the speaker said, girl, children and women are facing a lot, especially domestic violence. Generally, we expect the violence, abuse from the society. But here, the house itself, the home, we feel more protected. That home itself is threatening state. It is really a horrible thing. So it is especially innocent children. They were not known. They trust their family members. They trust their father. They trust their uncle. They trust their grandfather. So we read, we study many cases. As a psychologist, I'll be dealing some cases. So it will be, it's like a shock to listen certain things. When I worked for government sector, where the children are socially, economically backward, when they're saying certain things of their life, their facts, their secrets, I was really traumatized to hear how they have undergone such a trauma. So their own family members are making their life vulnerable. Definitely, we can understand the innocent children who came to this world to lead very happiest and beautiful life, and the family members only crushing them. So it is really pathetic and traumatized situation. It has to be addressed. Definitely, we have to look at as a psychologist, educationist, then advocate at our level. We have to support girl children, especially who are facing the traumatized environment in the home, especially. And here, if we observe the same family members, we have noticed they support girl children. Okay, okay. I'm going to end it up only with one or two statements. Okay. So here, definitely we have to look at, especially urban children. Okay, they're fine, but rural girl children, we have to support them. They are not known about the acts, about the rules, about the norms, how the government is supporting. So we have to encourage and educate, especially girl children, and also we have to support women who are facing the trauma in the home. So here, I would like to appreciate Kalpana Satija Garu, professor and social activist. Ma'am, thank you very much for giving an excellent inputs, and we are going to accept and follow, and we encourage women to follow all the suggestions you have given. I thank my heartfelt thanks to Dr. Nupur Tamija ma'am, Advocate Supreme Court. Thank you very much, ma'am, for the excellent and wonderful information you have given us. It is a very extended information, which is very much required and known to everyone. Such kind of awareness is required. I appreciate Dr. Seema Mandrol Negi, Principal, Sanjeevani World School. Thank you very much, ma'am, for being here. Really, your presentation given us a boost up like that. We have to lead our life happiest, and we have to support. There will be hurdles, there will be tensions. We have to overcome and lead our life fullest. And we need to support the people who are traumatized. And also, I would like to appreciate Dr. Pratibha Jawada, psychologist. Ma'am, thank you very much. Wonderful information you have given us. What kind of, depression and post-traumatic stress disorders will be observed. So definitely it has to be overcome. So we need to support. And I would like to appreciate Dr. Deepti Joshi. Thank you very much, ma'am, for the wonderful co-host. You're supporting us a great way. And here, not least, but I would like to appreciate our hero, Prince Pagadipalli, who is the host and taking care of the entire session. Really, it is wonderful. He's supporting us a great way. Very small child, small kid, but he is becoming our backbone. So great appreciation for Prince Pagadipalli. And the main captain of this program is Dr. Rajarao. Thank you very much. If Dr. Rajarao sir is not there, I would not have continued. I would have taken in some other way, not this way programs. So I feel that sir is the captain of our program, leading us and guiding us. So thank you very much, sir, for being with us and supporting CET TV channel. Thank you very much.